Back with Trent Fequet, CEO of the Steel River Group, who's built his company to $200 million in revenues in the first 2 years. Amazing, amazing feat, Trent. But talk to me about this whole Indigenous, Aboriginal aspect to your companies. You are half Inuit.
Yeah, I'm Indigenous, correct. My wife and I are both involved in the business. So for my wife, she's First Nation. She's Cree from Cowessess, which is a community outside of Regina, in Saskatchewan. For myself, I'm pretty unique. I come from a very, very, very special part of Canada, in my opinion. And if you do some research on the area, you'll agree with me. It's the very eastern part of Quebec, the peninsula of Quebec that splits Labrador from Newfoundland. Very, very, very remote. Yet today, the only way you can access is by a freighter boat that goes down the coastline. We call it the coastline once a week, or get in by a plane in the wintertime snow machine. There's no cell service yet today. There's still
no cell service.
It's a very traditional part of the world. It's a very special part of the world on both sides. You know, for me, I'm very proud of my Indigenous heritage, but I'm also very proud of my colonial heritage. I say often I'm the second and first peoples of the world, of Canada anyway. The First Nations are obviously the first people that entered Canada. And a lot of people don't know is the Inuit that came in. Obviously, the history shows that it came in from Alaska, and they came south and found people already inhabiting land, and they were fairly aggressive. And there was quite a few that populated the area at the time. So they decided to continue on and populate the north. So the Inuit traditionally is northern Canada.
That is fascinating. And you embrace your heritage. Absolutely. As being an Indigenous person. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about how that's impacted on your business life.
So my old business model, from Steel River Group, is to go in and work with nations in a proactive manner to help them be successful. The success story, if I can pick a success story outside of revenue and outside of the group of companies we're going to grow, is that I can maximize employment inside the Indigenous people inside of Canada. That's the whole premise and the ultimate goal inside of our business.
So US and Canada, there's a lot of Indigenous nations that struggle. Like there's a lot of people living in relative poverty. Mm-hmm. And there's a perception that, maybe we went the wrong route in setting up, quote unquote, reserves and so on and so forth. What's your opinion on all that?
Obviously I got to stand on a soapbox when I give my opinions on this, because I'm an Indigenous person that can offer my experiences and my opinions. I can't speak on behalf of nations and the struggles and how government interfered. Like, that's not necessarily my expertise. What I can tell you is that Indigenous people are very proud of the areas that they populate. They're very proud of the traditional areas. We all feel connected to the land. Our peoples have been there long before anybody else showed up, and definitely going to be there long after. So there's a lot of connection to that. Like anything else, like any other community, any other peoples, sometimes it's luck of the draw. Where a nation and where a community was set up years ago versus where it's set up today, sometimes don't offer the same benefits. So you can have a community that's sitting up north in Northwest Territories that's sitting on diamonds, acres of diamonds, so to speak. You got some nations that are in northern Alberta that are sitting on oil sand developments. So naturally, those nations are going to get a greater opportunity than maybe a nation that's sitting in prairie country in Saskatchewan.
You're approaching issues and challenges with Indigenous people from a private enterprise point of view.
Yep.
Your goal is to create sustainable employment. Talk to me about that.
Well, that's not new.
It's not rocket science.
Everyone in this room, sitting across, behind the scenes, everyone you'll ever meet in life, they're successful because of employment. Whatever employment that means. Our whole school systems, everything is built around driving and having people better situated to be out in the world, to be good citizens and good, giving back to their communities, for lack of a better word, based on their employment, what they do for a job. The opportunities they have to be an entrepreneur, if they can go off and do other creative type opportunities. But it's all about that individual being employed. At the end of the day, if you can take an Indigenous person, or any person for that matter, across Canada or North America, and get them sustainable employment, they will take control of their own life. And they will change their life, and they change their kids' lives, and lo and behold, they'll actually change the lives of the people in the community that they live.
Now you are partnering, part of your business structure is you're setting up different companies, and you're bringing in minority partners, many of whom have never been in business for themselves before. Now, is that just for Indigenous people, or are you doing a mix?
No, it's not Indigenous, non-Indigenous. We're an Indigenous company with the platform, but no, we're not biased and we're not focused on one group. We're focused on what will maximize employment. And with a caveat of that, what will maximize employment for the current overall alliance partners that we're dealing with, which is the nations that we're partnered with.
So Trent, the perception out there is that, like, you've got industry and First Nations, especially with pipelines, et cetera, they're at odds with each other. What do you say to that?
Once again, I can give you my opinion. I can't give you the universal approach. From my personal opinion, and literally this is the backbone of our business, is that I don't believe that's true. I believe that industry is absolutely supportive of making all of Canada successful. They're definitely focusing on making the Indigenous communities that they're aligned with and working with successful. I believe they have processes and procedures inside of their company, and all of it is not equal, of course, that they believe allows the Indigenous groups to be successful and be proactively involved. What you typically see in the news is the reactive side of that, is when the nations get involved to a certain point where they feel that they haven't been consulted properly, or for whatever reason, but you're only seeing the reactive negative part of it. You see across Canada, there's examples peppered in every province and every territory, is when the Indigenous groups take ownership of their destiny, and I'll say it, they hold back and they stop the woe's me and the rhetoric, and I can say that from a place of honesty, and they decide to take control of their economic and social reconciliation, and they get proactive. Part of our business model is to walk in and enter a partnership with the nation to facilitate them being a better partner to industry.
So we're going to come back with Trent Fequet and talk about your philosophy about employees being family. Stay with us.